At the end of our last video, we were leaving Campobello Island and the rest of Canada behind us. We crossed the bridge and the border into Maine, and to be more precise, into the town of Lubeck. From Lubeck, we headed west to Bangor to stock up with supplies, and we then continued travelling west until our first stop in the White Mountain region of New Hampshire. Good afternoon, and welcome to somewhere just a little bit below the summit of Mount Washington here in New Hampshire. We arrived in New Hampshire a couple of nights ago and have spent the last 2 nights at Dolly Cop campground in the White Mountain National Forest. Our first full day here was a washout. It just rained pretty much all day, but we did take the opportunity to call in at the Mount Washington Cog Railway to the base station, and we bought some tickets for a trip up to the top today, and then on our way back home from there we did a little side trip to Diana's Baths just to check out a small local waterfall. Today we caught the train at 11 o'clock this morning. Morning.
Morning. You guys are sitting in row 11 on the right side as you enter.
Thank you.
No return, baby, on the summer night. The shot of love and the spark of laughter breathe. Stars align and the month times night burn like a dried out leaf. Are we leaving on the next string, baby? I do believe. Come on, ride this train. Oh, come on, let's ride this train. Let's ride this train now.
Fortunately, the weatherman has been about right. It's dry, the sun is out, there's quite a bit of cloud up here, but I came here last year and when I came there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Beautiful views, but somehow the clouds just seem to give it a little bit more of an atmosphere. And as Russ Abbott once said, I love a party with a happy atmosphere.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today
wandering now very slowly on a very uneven path down to the Lake in the Clouds hut, which you can see just down there.
Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was.
And then from there we'll be taking a right-hand turn and returning back down to the train base station where Sterling is parked and waiting for us.
Not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow today. Well, something's gotta give today. It's a good day today, and not tomorrow.
Why do you look so fresh?
I'm sorry.
Don't let anybody ever tell you walking downhill is easy. Oh my God, our knees, our backs. I've lost about 4 pints in sweat.
It's a good day to live.
Good evening and welcome to the top of the Memorial Lighthouse here on Lake Chamberlain in New York. Yes, another new state. We finished our hike in New Hampshire in the White Mountain National Forest, and I have to be honest and say, despite the fact it was only around a 4-mile hike and it was all downhill, it has to be one of the toughest hikes we've ever done. The terrain, the steepness, ladders in places, mud, waterfalls, water crossings.
It was constant.
I think it took us around 6 hours, and 2 days later our muscles are still feeling the effect. Anyway, we left New Hampshire and drove out of the state into Vermont and continued driving west through Vermont, and here just crossed over this bridge, Vermont on the right hand side as you look at it, New York on the left, and the campground is right here on the border. The only thing we stopped to do along the way was to take in some of the covered bridges, some beautiful covered bridges. There's a number of them along the route, and we stopped to have a look and drive through one of them. Other than that, it was just a very pleasant scenic ride to bring us here for a couple of days here, and then we will be leaving here and heading, also continuing west, and we're still working our way across to Niagara Falls.
And we are at Crown Point campground.
Didn't I say that?
No.
No. If I didn't, I apologise. If I did,
I apologise.
thank you very much. But we've just come up to the top. This is not a lighthouse, or it is a lighthouse, but it's not used anymore. But we've come up here this evening to watch the sun go down.
Yay.
Good morning. I will tell you where we are in just a moment, but first I want to take you back to the end of that last video clip where we were at, and as Chrissy correctly pointed out, we were at Crown Point campground. Now Crown Point is at one of the most narrow points of Lake Champlain, and the French in around the 1730s built a fort there to protect the waterway. And they lived there for they had a community, grew up, it was very nice, everything was lovely for about 20 years until around 1760, and then along came the British Army. And so the French decided, rather than hand everything and vacate and leave everything for the British Army, they would blow the place up. They just blew it up to bits and left. So I think it was 1759, the British Army took over possession of Crown Point land and decided to build themselves an even more impressive fort there. And it was a huge fort. The ruins are still there, or some of the ruins are still there. We had a look round and read some of the history. But the thing that did make us chuckle was that, having been blown up by the French, the British then spent a good number of years rebuilding and building a massive fort, only then around 20 years later for a fire in one of the barracks to spread to the gunpowder room and managed to blow the whole thing up all by themselves.
Chimney fire.
It was a chimney fire that then became a big explosion.
Oh dear.
So there is a fort no longer, but you can see where it was and read the history, so it's very interesting. So we left there and drove across to, where did we stop next? Oh,
Was it
a place,
Orsable?
Orsable Chasm. This is north of Crown Point. We drove north, followed the lake, and Orsable Chasm is it's a natural beauty, but it's been, the owners of that have, it was $20 each to take a hike along the gorge. You can go river rafting, tubing. They've got a sort of via ferrata mountain climbing adventure thing there. It was very quiet when
I
we
was tempted to do that, but it was closed that day.
What's that smell? Oh yes, bull stuff. But yeah, it was very quiet. The weather wasn't that great, but we did the hike, and it was quite pretty. And they had some features along the way. Elephant's head. If you squinted, you could see that. What you doing, Chrissy?
I'm waiting for the bus.
Oh, did you enjoy your hike?
It was okay.
Yeah, was it worth the $20?
It was a bit steep.
What, the hike or the price?
The price. The hike was got nothing on Mount Washington.
No, it's very pretty down there.
Yeah.
Not the brightest of days today, but the rain held off for the most part. So you could say that's Orsable or Orsable. I think I've heard Orsable.
Oh, have you?
That's the one they tend to use the most. So, bus stop, back to the vehicle, and then driving off to the next campsite. In the Thousand Islands area of New York.
It's meant to rain though.
Today.
Yeah.
But the next 3 days are meant to be nice.
Good.
But yeah, it was pleasant. We spent a night at the Orsable Point campground, and then yesterday we drove. No, sorry, 2 days ago we drove to where we are now, which is Robert Moses State Park.
Yep.
Pretty much on the very top of New York here. And where we are now, and I'll flip the camera in a minute so you can see this, is we are at Eisenhower's Lock. So this here is the St. Lawrence, the Gulf of St. Lawrence, the seaway, where everything, in fact where Sterling came down to Halifax originally. Before he came to Halifax, he came down to Montreal, I think, didn't it? That we monitored the ship's tracking. But any ship wanting to come through to Toronto has to come through this lock here. And we've just called here on our way out this morning, and there is a big ship coming into the lock right now. So we'll go and watch that.
Like we planned it.
It is. You couldn't, couldn't write the script, could you? Really? With the ship safely through the lock, we set off on our journey and pretty much ran parallel with the ship as it crossed through Lake Ontario to Toronto. We skirted the lower edge of the lake all the way to our destination at 4 Mile Creek State Park. Good morning and welcome to 4 Mile Creek State Park. We are camping just, you can't see our campsite from here, we're camping just round the corner in those trees. Just through there is Lake Ontario, and if we walk up to the lake's edge and look across, you can see in the far distance Canada and the skyline of Toronto. So very pleasant sight, and we are now, they offer from this campsite a free shuttle service. Here's Chrissy. What are you doing here?
I'm waiting for the bus.
The shuttle bus?
Yes, shuttle bus.
To go where?
Free shuttle bus. It goes, I think we're going to get off at Fort Niagara.
Fort Niagara. Okay, doing a bit of exploring.
Yes.
And then tomorrow?
Loxton, is it?
No.
Lock something.
Lockport.
Lockport, that's it.
Oh look, someone else just wants to drive around. Why is it when we start filming, people just appear out of the woodwork, don't they?
Yeah.
Lockport.
Lockport.
Yes, Lockport.
Yeah.
Famous for having 5 locks.
Yes.
So we'll go there tomorrow.
And Monday, the Falls.
The Falls, yes. So what did we think to Niagara Falls? Well, we were very pleasantly surprised. We had heard stories of how commercial the area was around the falls, but Niagara Falls State Park was not like that at all, and in fact it felt very much like, a park. We viewed the falls from Goat Island at these 2 locations. And while we can appreciate that the best views of the falls are from the Canadian side, it is from the American side that you can get up close and personal. You can also get very wet. But not as wet as those on the Maid of the Mist. Leaving the Niagara Falls region, we took back roads, passing through Amish farmed countryside until we reached Lockport, where we stopped to view the canal and the locks, and then spend a little time with the lock keepers of the past. Not so well known as Niagara Falls, but incredibly popular nonetheless, is the Finger Lakes area of upstate New York. And the most popular of all in the Finger Lakes area is Watkins Glen State Park. And so it was to here we were now headed. We continued to take back roads, and along the way we enjoyed many a garden decked out for Halloween. Now, Watkins Glen features a campground where we spent a couple of nights, but the main feature of the show is a spectacular 1 mile long gorge trail which showcases 19 waterfalls. But you must remember to take into account the over 800 stone steps. Prior to the arrival of the Europeans, the area surrounding and including Watkins Glen was inhabited by the Seneca Nation, and you'll pass a tribute to them on your way to the entrance to the gorge. The entrance to the gorge trail is found in the small town of Watkins Glen and is accessed by this bridge. We set off early to avoid the crowds, and we were lucky enough to pretty much have the place to ourselves for over an hour or so.
A smile upon your face, see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you wanna glimpse the future, you need space. And you said you'll put down your morning gun. Would you follow me to wander? Take my hand and walk beside me in a world of thunder. Fear is imposter. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not give in. So the days became weeks, it felt just like the night before. You were slowly fading in my mind. When you left, I was so completely gone, but now I'm sure you were some of the best of things to find. Follow me to wander. If you're everything that matters to me, makes me wonder why I can't get over you. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not give in.
Now, if like us, you're not an American, then there's a good chance you've never heard of Letchworth State Park. No, we hadn't either, but we were advised to go there, and so we did, even though it meant returning in the direction we had just come from. But we were glad we did. Letchworth State Park is approximately 17 miles long and has the Genesee River running through its entire length. The park has Morris Dam at its north end, many scenic viewpoints along the midsection, but its main attractions are the upper, middle and lower falls, which are found at the southern end. We left Letchworth State Park and headed to the nearby town of Dansville for a coffee, but ended up getting a COVID vaccine instead. While in Dansville, a local asked us if we had been to see Stony Brook State Park. We said no. He said go. It's not far. So we did. And guess what? Stony Brook featured yet another gorge, a gorge trail, lots of steps and waterfalls. Now Stony Brook definitely had its own charm, but it did struggle to compete with Watkins Glen and Letchworth State Park.
There's a message drifting in the air. If you listen, you will notice music everywhere. This bridge is made of hope. This bridge is made of hope. This bridge is made of hope. Side by side, hope. This bridge is made of hope. Side by side, hope.
With both our heads and cameras full of images of waterfalls, gorges and canyons, we decided it was time to head south and cross from upstate New York into Pennsylvania. But that is for the next video. So thanks for watching and see you soon.